Welcome, friends. Thanks for joining us. My name is Mark, and this is the O2 Drop. This is WA's VGC podcast coming from Perth, home of Australia's smallest regional championships. And those regional championships actually happened last week, so let's discuss it in detail. Today I'm joined by my friends Dan.
Hey.
Ethan.
I'm also here.
And Sliff.
Yep.
So, fellas, Perth Regionals happened. We all competed. How'd everyone do? Dan?
Terribly.
Are you speaking for yourself or everyone?
Collectively terrible.
Collectively not great.
Yeah.
I think my prediction of performance was top 16. That definitely did not happen. After, true fashion starting O2, I'm surprised I clawed back to 5-3 to get a top 64 CP. So that's something. How'd you go, Ethan?
I also landed 5-3 at top 64, which I think was kind of the median placement for everybody in Perth. The top placement was Avarian Kieran Singh at top 16, which is just shocking. After coming off a win at Melbourne, we expected him to do the best out of all of us, but like 11th place is ridiculous. We really didn't put up much of a fight this year. I don't know what was up.
Because, we had, two Perth players in top 16? Or just the one?
Yeah.
It was, one, and then I think...
Peter bubbled at 17.
At 17. Yeah. Alistair, I think, was 2 or 3 spots behind him.
Yeah.
Yes, at 21.
Yeah. And then, do we have anyone else in top 32?
I'm just looking. Phil did. Yeah.
Phil, yeah. Philip Briggs. Sliff, did you want to chime in there, just as we mentioned Philip Briggs?
Yeah, I like Phil. I'm glad he didn't cut.
Phil, we love you. Congratulations on doing better than anyone in this room.
Highest placing corner call. Oh, wait, no, that was Pete. Sorry, Phil.
Peter had both Torcol and Ogapong Cornerstone, came in 17th, and we're all collectively very proud of him.
We are.
Golf claps.
Taking that absolute nonsense that we claimed as the Perth special all the way up to top 17.
It was Phil's idea, by the way.
Was he ready to leak it to the Easterners beforehand?
Why am I getting the blame for that?
He was the highest placing corner call archetype in the entire tournament as well. So, yeah, Perth matter.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Apparently, it's bad.
Apparently, allegedly.
So, corner call, obviously not much of a showing on the day. What looking through the standings, what did have a lot of success, do we reckon?
The one thing that I really noticed, and it's actually the main reason that I didn't do any better than 5-3, I think, in my opinion, was there was a very high concentration of Pelipper. And it does lead me to wonder that if maybe the some of the players from the eastern states were maybe kind of aware of the projected prevalence of corner call, and they thought, we don't want to see any sunroom. We'll run rain, we'll run wide guard, and we'll run bridge, and we'll just try and counter the West meta. And yeah, I'm not sure exactly how many sunroom archetypes those players actually ran into in the bracket. We could have a look at that later on, but it does remain the fact that there were at least 6 Pelipper that I can see in the bracket. I ran into 2 of them, and it was a terrible matchup for me. I considered virtually every other archetype in my prep except for fucking Pelipper.
I don't think I came up against any Pelipper. I came up against...
I came up against 2.
Oh, so you lost 2 of your games. So you went 6-2, yes?
No.
There was 11 Pelippers total at Perth, so
Really?
They definitely got the weather forecast.
Uh-huh.
Bringing the rain with them, because every table I sat down at, it's are you running corner call was the question to someone. So
were people actually asking you
yes. Whether it was next to me, whether it was specifically one individual in particular, Jason's mate there, Sam Pandelis, constantly asking, but it just seems like they're fans of the show, really, listening, so...
Well, to everyone who came over from over east, thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate it. And maybe go a bit easier next time, yeah?
No.
Maybe let a couple of us get top 8 next time. That'd be nice. Thank you.
We want to come home.
He needs to stay home.
Yeah.
James Katsaris, the Perth Regional Champion, has been in our Discord like for over 2 years now. I don't think Drax is aware of this. And even funnier, I don't think Katz knows who any of us are.
Well, he must know who we are because obviously to have won, he must have listened to the podcast to prepare for all the various texts that we were bringing.
I think he just listened to Wolf Glick and ran the right 6, to be honest.
Speaking of, let's just quickly point out a couple of weeks ago in episode 3, we were doing predictions on what we felt would be successful at Perth and what we felt would be successful at Orlando, which was a regional championship that happened on the same day. And we went around and asked, if we think the winner of Orlando will be running a similar team to the winner of Perth. I won't go over exactly who predicted what. I called it perfectly.
But I never voiced that opinion.
But
allegedly not.
Allegedly.
The two teams were identical, Pokemon moves and items all exactly the same. So I think there's something to be said for the success level of our Perth jank.
Yeah, you must have won Perth Regionals with that knowledge. How did you do?
Yeah, better than you.
Allegedly.
Just for a bit of context, before the show, our PR manager, also known as usual host Joel, suggested that we make liberal use of the word allegedly to avoid getting in too much trouble if we're calling anyone out. And
he allegedly said that.
Sliff, having just learned a new word, is having fun with it.
Allegedly.
I feel like we should go around and just quickly mention
Our placements.
for the benefit of the listener. So, Dan, where did you actually finish up?
It was 50th.
50th,
5-3, yeah.
I also came 5-3. My resistance was slightly better, so I came 40th place.
69.
Nice.
As was Scott Free in TCG as well. So
We had the
Scott
clean
and I
Perth
actually
sweep.
won. Yeah, we actually won regionals.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ethan, you went 5-3 and came in 40th.
Yes, that's right.
I came in went in 5-3 and came in 42nd.
Yeah.
2 spots below you, and I'm not annoyed or anything. It's
No.
fine. It's fine.
Abolish resistance.
Abolish resistance.
Yeah, because if we abolished resistance, then the 3 of us, Sliff, would all just be equally above you instead of various levels above you.
You're right. Then I wouldn't have come 69th and won Perth Regionals. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I rescind that statement.
So, I feel like we should maybe discuss what our days looked like. Some interesting matchups we had, difficult matchups. I know Ethan had a bad time with a pelican.
Duck.
It's
a pelican.
It's a pelican, you dickhead. So I know you're taking the piss, but there are genuinely people who think Pelipper is a duck, and it infuriates me. But circling back round, Dan, did you have anything notable that happened during your day? Any interesting teams? Any hard losses? Funny stories?
Yeah, I have an interesting take. It was my tornado sucked ass. Missed every fucking bleak wind storm.
Oh, that's right, because I was sitting next to you one of those matches, and I just kept looking over, and you just had your head in your hands as your switch, just the text just read, avoided the attack.
Yeah. There was multiple double avoids, which really did hurt, which meant, the O2 start was definitely getting to me, but I think keeping the head high, managed to scrape to that 5-3. But I do know Lewis Tan listens, so hey, multi-boy. He was my round 8 opponent, and my tornadoes really put on a show for him as well. So game 1, it was some funnies. You know that lovely mechanic where you terror or you back out of a move to go back to a mon, and you press A to fight and you click your move, it defaults to your ally instead of defaulting to the opponent.
Ah, yes.
Well, I was running out of time, you see, and I was spamming A, and I side hit my own tornadoes, but I'll just say I did it on purpose because he was letting me down. But that cost me game 1, and then we had some funnies game 2 where my -2 attack Urshi Dark was facing a Terra Fairy Raging Bolt. Sucker Punch didn't kill it in the 1v1, and it, didn't get hit by a thunderclap, which meant I could sucker punch a second time and take that game, sorry. But yeah, game 3, Tornadus, in its fashion, missed every bleak win again and gifted the set to Lewis. So you're welcome for that 6-2, Lewis.
For the record, back when I was running Tornadus Incarnate, I was genuinely running Air Slash over Bleakwind Storm just because the misses were infuriating me so much. And then Air Slash being 95% accurate ended up missing just as much, and I switched back.
You may as well miss both if you're going to miss one. So.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
How did your run go, Ethan? Apart from the Pelicans.
I will talk about the Pelicans, the alleged Pelicans, alleged Ducks. The jury is out. 5-3 was definitely better than I was kind of expecting to do at many points in the day. I started off really, really poorly in my first round because I just came up immediately against my worst matchup, which was Goldengo with Redirection. They just clicked Nasty Plot. There's nothing I could do. I was proud to take a set off that guy. But then I started to pick up wins a lot more, and I wasn't even that happy about the wins, actually, because for a bit of context, here in Perth, because we're the smallest regional and we also have a fairly large player base here, we often come up in our tournaments against a phenomenon known as the team kill. And with team kills, it's pretty much they do what they say on the tin. If we get unlucky with placements in a certain round, we may end up playing against a friend, and obviously one person has to win, one person has to lose. So we end up kind of messing up each other's resistance and messing up each other's records. And I think in no small part that may have contributed to the poor placement of the group as a whole at this tournament, is that we were all constantly beating each other instead of clapping Easterners like God intended. So I ended up fighting and beating 3 of my colleagues, actually. In round 2, I had a very, very close set against Anthony Sibilia. He was running Rainbridge, and it basically came down to the wire in game 3. Like, picture this. It was a really, really fun set, actually. I had Dragapult and Incin with Corviknight in the back against his Terrad Wellspring and his Flutter, which was -1 locked into Shadow Ball. I missed the Wisp on his Wellspring and lost the pot immediately, and then Flare Blitz burned him with Incineroar in the same turn.
Deserved.
Yeah, so it was just like a different means to an end. And then I ended up...
giveth and the RNG taketh away.
Yeah, and then I ended up in a 2v1 with my Corv versus his burned Wellspring and his Flutter locked into Shadow Ball. I managed to... I Dragon Terror managed to wear down the Ogre, got 1 Brave Bird, and basically just spammed Roost to keep myself in the game. On the last Roost, he crit me with the Shadow Ball, and I thankfully +1 Brave Bird was able to pick up the Flutter from full, but it was just absolutely down to the wire in a set that took maybe 20 minutes. It was a long one. Anyways, then I ran into the podcast very own Christopher Ma, who was also running Goldango with no redirection, and he piloted it differently to my round 1 opponent, which means that I 2-0'd him. Then I ran into...
So you also 2-0 Chris Ma.
I did also 2-0 Chris Ma.
Okay.
That's actually why he's not here, because he's still at home sobbing.
Yeah.
Couldn't handle the heat.
And then, I ran into my first Pelipper of the day, I believe, which was really, really disheartening because I went through a lot of matchups in my prep for this team. If you recall from earlier episodes, I brought this build with Sylveon, Carmine Sylveon, and a support-oriented Dragapult with Willows and Disable. And that team was kind of built to have options against a wide range of archetypes, but in practice, I found that there were certain holes in it. Things like Goldango, things like Fire-type attackers that Bolt couldn't burn, and apparently Rain archetypes for Pelipper. Because I was running Incineroar, Water and Flying coverage together just ended up being an absolute disaster for my team out of nowhere, really. And I wasn't sure why that was, because for a team with that much bulk and that much it just seemed like all of the pieces were just kind of mispositioned in a horrible way. I made an adjustment to my Sylveon TV spread the night before the tournament, just a small one. And I sacked a little bit of Spit F investment so that I could outspeed a few things in Tailwind, which I added last minute. And it just meant that certain double ups from things, including Pelipper, could just pick it up straight away. So I just didn't have the defensive resources to deal with the fucking Pelican. And of all of the things that I expected my team to have a problem with, I was not expecting it to be that, but I ran into it twice in the day and it accounted for 2 of my losses. And there were 7 of them total in the entire tournament, and I ran into it twice, and I'm still not okay. Anyways, 5-3 is a pretty good finish considering.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. 5-3.
That's 50 CP. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good, amazing.
Good result.
I placed higher than many other Perth competitors, including Mark Murray. So, Sliff, how'd you go?
Terribly. It was
69th place. You won.
I won terribly. It was my worst tournament, my worst finish, 4-4. Which is still better than some people.
Yeah.
Approximately half the field, so fuck them. Actually, wait. How many people were there?
There's 157 Masters.
Oh, there you go.
So
better
you're
than more
above
than
50%.
half. Yeah.
Top 50%. That's a pass, baby.
So I won regionals twice. There were a few notable games. I moved yesterday, as you all know. Well, last week as of when this goes up.
Moved house?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, as opposed to just switched my sitting location in the studio. And my notes are currently at my other place, which I was meant to bring today, so I don't have those. But I do remember I matched against one of our locals, Trent, round 1, new player. Matched him once at Morley. He had clear Amulet Araquanid, not at regionals.
What's the pity?
That's hot.
He would have won.
Yeah. Well, I did. So, and I also won round 1, which was the dream start because historically I always lose round 1 of a fucking regional, and then I submarine and then I lose my winning in for top cup.
Yeah.
This time there was no likelihood of that because I lost my next 3. I lost to Genting Lu in round 3. He's a very well-known Chinese player. It went to game 3 and there's no two ways about it. There was no hacks. There was no bullshit. Our teams were like a 5-mon mirror. He just outplayed me. He's so good.
He was the top cup finisher at Melbourne, wasn't he?
Did he cup Melbourne? I don't know.
I think he did. He placed like 20, what is that? 26th, 27th?
He did cut in Melbourne, allegedly.
Allegedly.
We were there.
I wasn't paying attention. As soon as I lost my winning in, I went back to the hotel.
I was playing at the PC the whole time, shitting on people. Not really. I lost to a Uxie. That guy went 5-1, okay?
Yeah, ridiculous.
Oopsie.
I don't know how.
But it does have to be said that the field in this regionals, like more than most other places and definitely any other years in Perth, it was just absolutely brutal. There was so many kind of known names, especially on Australia, who finished absolutely terribly, at least by their own standards, top 16, top 32. People like our own Kieran Singh, like Alistair Sandover, like Megan Rattle, Nicholas Khan, Genting Lu, Paul Amity, all of these people finishing below cut in absolute just washed runs. And the top cut was almost unrecognizable to a lot of us. I know that a huge contingent from Perth just didn't bother with day 2 at all because we didn't know any of the names. We didn't care who won.
I wanted to sleep in.
We did care. We cared that Jude Lee didn't win. That was all that mattered. Bonnie Tyler's I Need a Hero played all day, and there were 7 heroes and 1 villain, and that was Jude Lee.
Yeah.
Allegedly. But anyway, I didn't get to finish my story.
Finish your story.
I got hacked up by Baguli in round 4. He made me click Helping Hand Taunt in game 1.
Made you?
Yeah, Baguli hacked you out because he actually connected a Bleak Wind Storm.
Actually, I don't think... Did you even bring Tornadoes? I don't think you did.
So, no. That's why I won.
I think at that point you were too traumatized. The
And
best.
then he kept bringing it the rest of the day because he didn't learn his lesson.
Should have just released it after like
Yeah.
Rock up with a 5-mon team.
Yeah.
Mint it and then call a judge.
Get your own mon DQ'd.
Anyway, Sliff, finish your story, please.
Game 2 was worse. What happened? Oh, that's right. Baguli made me kill my own Incineroar with my Ogerpon. I actually had the wireless controller connected to my Switch. But the most important part about that story was who sat next to Baguli in round 4.
Yeah.
It was regular listener and friend of the show, Sam Pandalis, Australia's best player with the most accolades.
Allegedly.
And yes, it was really good fun because the entire
Keep going.
the entire set was just making fun of Pandalis while Baguli hacked my Switch. We sat down and the first thing that happened was Baguli goes, "Oh, did you know it's my birthday today?" And I said, "Oh, I should buy you a McFlurry." And that's what he sounded like.
Nervous laughter.
Sam was slightly less impressed. The alleged McFlurry story. I'm not going to tell it. I don't know it. I don't know how true it is.
Yeah, true.
But it's a meme that everybody familiar with the community knows about.
You know, when we get Sam Pellis on the podcast, he can tell it himself, I think.
I will get Sam Pandalis here.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Sam, I know you are. We're going to get you in. We're going to dial you in. You can tell us the McFlurry story. Is it true? What part of it is true? What flavor was it?
Yeah, Oreos, M&M's.
Yeah.
You need to know the details.
Did you have extra fudge? Like, do you get the wooden spoon or do you have like a special ceramic spoon that you use?
From what I've heard, and I also won't,
Allegedly.
disclose any alleged details of the story. This was quite a while ago, so I think it would have been a plastic spoon.
Okay.
Knowing a man with that many accolades, it might have been a silver spoon.
Allegedly.
So anyway, we sit down to play. Baguli tells me it's his birthday. I offer to buy him a McFlurry. Sam's in earshot. One of them is happy, one is less so. And the game persists. Game 1, Baguli outplays my trick room, makes all the right reads, or I made all the wrong reads. I don't know, but I clicked Helping Hand Taunt and he knew about it. I even told Sam that I clicked Helping Hand Taunt. I figured he would want to know about this because he was destroying Simon Betterman next to me. Simon was not the better man. After the game was over and Baguli had taken game 1 off me, I said, "Shit, you should buy me a McFlurry."
I couldn't, man.
You couldn't buy a McFlurry because you got to play the set. Yeah. So then we go into game 2, and as Sam's complaining about the format, Mimi, head judge, has walked past, and Sam has complained that he doesn't like this format. It's too hard. You have to make too many reads. He compared it to the 2017 format, and I didn't click to it then. But I should have looked at him and said, "Isn't that the one where you got second at Worlds?" Maybe he was trying to bait me and I just didn't take it.
I think so.
So as Mimi's walked past and Sam's going, "Oh, I got to make too many reads," I decided to call Mimi over and apologize for the low literacy level of our table and explain that we were all high school dropouts who can't read pointedly at Pandalis.
Mm-hmm.
Still unimpressed. Baguli's still very uncomfortable.
Considering I have a degree.
You should have said that.
Allegedly.
Look at me. I graduated university.
So game 2 has gone on, and I've just made every wrong play. I'm 1-2. I'm over it. I don't care. There's Incineroar and Ogerpon left. There's like a 50-50 that I can actually win game 2. I decided to turn it into 100-0 by killing my Incineroar and telling Baguli that he couldn't have it. At which point, I think I made yet another McFlurry joke. That's right. And Cassiopeia was playing, and we were all, Baguli was doing like the Grease Lightning point, which we started in Melbourne. And I could actually see Phil, and I was gesturing to Phil while I was vibing. He had his back to me, so he couldn't see it, fortunately for him, but now he knows about it.
Was he reclining?
He was reclining forwards because he was on table 1
That's
at 3-0.
okay. All right. He was sweating.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know what you call, like, the reverse recline.
Smug Phil.
Shri-
Sure.
Leaning Phil.
Alleged Phil.
Would you call it shrimping, where they're like hunched over the?
Shrimping Phil. Perfect. Yeah.
Rodin's the recliner.
Yeah. That's all going on. And then as the set has come to a close, Simon, the not better man, has lost to Pandalis as quickly as I've lost to Baguli. We were basically speed running who can get fucked on quicker. Baguli won that accolade, so there's one you don't have, Sam. And then Sam folds his arms, reclines, just like Phil, and looks at me and he goes, I respect you, Jason. You speak your mind.
Every time you tell this story, I think a little bit more that like he was giving you the most polite British fuck you ever.
It was definitely a British insult.
Yeah.
And you've heard it like 45 times now, and you'll hear it a 46th.
Yeah.
I half agree with Sam. I also agree that you speak your mind.
Do you
Thank
also
you.
respect
You don't
him?
respect him.
Anyway, moving on.
Well, no, so Pandalis, friend of the show, I know you're listening, and I said this to him while we're there as well. I actually respect Sam Pandalis because in 2022 Perth Regionals, I met him for the first time. We didn't even play. We just chatted. Everybody hates this guy. He's this little short guy in a puffy jacket because Perth is too cold for him, ironically. Nobody's talking to him. He's just walking around. He comes up to me, some random Perth shitter, and he asks me how my tournament's going. We have a chat. And then I realized, oh, that's what Sam Pandalis looks like. And then like 2 months later in Melbourne, he comes up to me of his own volition. He goes, hey, Jason, how's your tournament going? And I had stars in my eyes. I was like, oh my God, Pandalis knows my fucking name. And I respect that because most of the Easterners don't like me.
I
And
wonder why.
Most of the Easters don't like us.
I don't like most of them. But for whatever reason, Sam Pandalis has done his research. He knows who all of us are, and that's why they were prepared for Corner Call. That's why you got Palapit. It was Sam, allegedly.
Allegedly.
He was one of the ones I've sat next to him multiple times throughout the day that said, are you bringing Corner Call to his opponent? So
He asked me as well, and I think he also asked, I think it was Phil or Ando. No, it was Ando because he was playing TCG. Pandalis and Katz asked Ando if he was running Cornerstone Ogerpon, and he's like, I'm playing TCG.
answer the question.
And then Katz went on to win. But Pandalis went 4-4, and I asked him at the end of the day, how did you do, Sam? And he goes, I went 4-4, I'm shit. And I went to go high-five him and say, yes, 4-4 club, and he just like power walked away, which is very difficult for a man of his stature. Allegedly.
Yeah, you don't know how easy it actually is.
I was a lot happier about 4-4 than he was, that's for sure. Probably because I didn't have as many accolades to hold me down.
Yeah, that's the Perth diff, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Perth difference is we're okay with being completely shit.
Yeah.
We will go 08 and then we will go and get piss drunk at afters with a smile on our face. That's how we do in Perth.
So we'll go to afters later, but I just want to end my run. I matched against Jack, another local friend of Trent, who I matched in round one. Don't really remember what he ran, but he played a good set. It was a lot of fun. I don't have my notes on me, but round 8, I want to give a shout out to this man because he's going to listen because I'm going to send it to him, and he said he would. His name was Jalen Green. Dapper Raptor, I think was his handle. This man traveled 3 hours from Donnybrook. Even people in Perth don't know where Donnybrook is. It's 3 hours down south, allegedly.
In the forest
I've never heard of it.
Sure. This man traveled 3 hours to play at his first ever regional championships in Reg F. And in true Giga Chad fucking fashion, he went 3-5. Wait. Yeah, he went 3-5 and he ran fucking Oricorio.
Yes.
Terra Electric Pom Pom Oricorio.
How do you finish 3-5 with Oricorio? That's amazing.
Surely that's a typo and you meant to say he went 8-0.
Absolute chat. He said he wanted to come back and he's got mates in Donnybrook who want to come up for like day trips when we have events in the future as well.
That'd be awesome.
So if that'd be really cool to reach out to people from rural areas. I used to live rural. Baguli moved from rural, so did Phil. It'd be really cool to have people travel up from there. But his team was cool. I don't have my notes. I don't remember how game 1 went. Quickly. Game 2, he led Oricorio Volcarona with Fiery Dance, obviously, which made me so fucking happy. And I've led with the Ogerpon, And I did the funny of, why would I follow me when I can just IV cudgel? His Volcarona dies turn 1, I get Trick 'em Up, it's game.
Yeah.
But he's like, ball it, we fuck. I'm going to Terra Electric this fucking Oricorio blindly and just click Revelation Dance into everything. So I left it alive and just killed everything around it and watched this funny little pom-pom bird dance around and do like 20% to my Farigiraf. I didn't care. And I was so happy. I told him I was going to take notes. I said, do you mind? I took a photo of his team sheet and everything. I've got it up now. But yeah, Rillaboom, Whimsicott, Incineroar, Oricorio, Walking Wake, Volcarona, Fiery Dance, Quiver Dance, Volcarona. Yeah, it was amazing. It was just...
That's a great team.
He was the only Oricorio in Perth. And he was from 3 hours away.
And one of the only Walking Wakes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, 1 of 4, wasn't he? Somebody else has
4
that
Walking
stat.
Wakes. I know Jared Clappen ran one, a friend of mine that I'll get into when I talk about my run. In fact, I'll start on that now if you're done talking about yours.
Yeah, that was round 8. Yeah, I had nothing
cool.
after that.
I don't want to touch on all of my rounds because I've forgotten most of them or scrubbed them from my mind. But I'll touch on a few. So, Ethan, earlier you mentioned the team kills. I had 2.
Yep.
Hoping for more. Actually, a lot of people get quite sad when they get paired up against their comrades from Perth because it means either they're going to lose or they're going to give a loss to their friend. I had 3 team kills in Melbourne and I developed a taste for it. And now it gives me some kind of sadistic pleasure to be paired up against my friends. So round 2, I had an early loss against a team that wasn't a great matchup for me. And then round 2, I was paired up against a friend of mine and a good friend of the show, Warren Cabral. Warren, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I sincerely apologize. He was running an almost identical team to the team that I had lost to round 1, so I wasn't feeling confident, but there was one main difference, and that's that his Entei was Terra Normal for the extreme speed rather than the Terra Grass that the other guy was running. And he was also Choice Band as opposed to, I think the other guy was Citrus Berry. And I have an Okidogi. Which I have to say absolutely carried me through the day. It was by far the best Pokemon on my team. But the funny thing about Choice Band, Terra Normal, Extreme Speed, Entei is that you can just, the following turn, one tap it with upper hand. And it's choice locked into Extreme Speed. So that was an incredibly close game. I have to give it to Warren. He's a very talented player. Came down to a 2v1 where my Okidogi was able to win the 2v1 against a Fluttermane and an Entei, which was huge. And then poor Warren, first ever regionals. He's had quite a lot of success at local premier challenges and the like. And he's sitting there, 0 wins, 2 losses. And I go outside. Some people have a smoke. I have a banana. Come back inside. About 20 minutes later, he's still just sitting there. And I think I broke a little bit of that man's spirit. So, Warren, if you're listening, I love you. I look forward to seeing you at more events. Thank you for being my round 2 win. Then in round 3, I had my second team kill against Jared Clappen, who I mentioned, who was running Walking Wake. I can't remember if he had Ogerpon Cornerstone.
He did.
I think he did. He also had Torkoal.
Yeah,
so he was one of the Corner Call people from Perth. And my team has a fantastic matchup into his. So I won't take too much credit for winning because it was a lot of luck. But he actually had the upper hand in the first game, but then there was a disconnect, and so it was a tie. And so the following 2 games, I managed to win both of them, and so we didn't get to go to the sudden death. But I'm really sad because my team is the most brain-dead hyper offense, click buttons, make them die, and it's just perfect for sudden death. Although that being said, the other day, he and I played out the sudden death just to see what it was like. I missed 2 overheats in a row and lost. So I'm glad it didn't go to sudden death because that could have ended quite differently for me. The other 2 things I'll quickly shout out. I want to shout out to a gentleman named Matt Ireland from Newcastle. I don't know if you're listening, Matt. If you are, thanks so much for tuning in. Great 3-game set that I played against him. Most enjoyment I've ever had from having my Pokemon unable to move from the fact that he was just spamming Thunder Wave and Fiery Wrath, which meant I was always just full paralyzed or flinched and just not able to play the game in game 2. But his team also included an Okidogi, and I've just got to give a shout out to the team crisis I had a week before regionals where I felt that my Okidogi couldn't do anything into poison types, so I put Psychic Fangs on it, which absolutely won me the matchup, both being able to put a lot of offensive pressure on his Okidogi. Okidogi, of course, being a poison fighting type, taking doubly super effective damage from psychic types. But Psychic Fangs also being able to break screens really helped me from being
I'm sure.
walled against, because the Grimmsnarl was a light clay set with light screen and reflect, which greatly decreases the damage you do. My team has one thing that it does, and it's damage. So if that gets taken away, I lose. So Psychic Fangs was a godsend. But yeah, really great 3-game set against a really cool, fun team. Like I said, Galarian, Moltres, Grimmsnarl, Okidogi, Bronzong, and an Ogerpon Cornerstone. I believe it was a team that was run at the EUIC, but
Yeah, I was going to say that. Was it the Specs Moltres? Yeah.
it was the Specs Moltres, and I could see why it was run. Like, I could see how it was working as it slowly decimated my team. I was like, oh, so this is what it does.
And breaks your mental at the same time.
100%. It's unfortunately, I was just having too much fun in that game to have a bad mental, but otherwise, absolutely, yes. So Matt, once again, thanks for being a fun 3-game set. And the last one I quickly want to touch on is a Rain Bridge team. Rain Bridge being typically either Pelipper or Tornadus to set the rain, and then Bridge referring to Archeliodon, based on the fact that it looks like a bridge. And the idea is you set rain, and then there's very little that can do enough damage to Archeliodon before it uses Electroshot to decimate your team. And the issue with the team that I was up against was I was expecting it to be the standard Rainbridge team where Archeliodon is Assault Vest because it doesn't have a particularly high special defense stat, with Stamina, which increases its defense every time it takes a hit. What I wasn't expecting was to hit the Archeliodon with a Icy Wind to lower its speed. They set Tailwind to increase its speed. Now, Archeliodon not being an overly fast Pokemon, I was expecting that my Chi-Yu would then be able to outspeed. But no, this gentleman was running max speed Archeliodon with Sturdy. So it's 252 special attack, 252 speed. I don't know if it was timid or modest, but it was not what I was expecting. I should have read the team sheet more closely, to be fair. And I got decimated, and that was my third loss of the day, which gate kept me from top 16. But that was just something I wanted to shout out as something that was unpleasant but very funny.
Before we move on, I do have a shout out I want to make to my round 7 opponent, actually. I managed to run into, I think, the only Dondozo Tatsugiri that made it into the top 64, run by one Jackson Lee Kong, who is a Westerner as well. I want to give a shout out to him. He's not a part of our core group per se. He's sort of in an adjacent sort of parallel group that also runs sometimes. And when it was sort of one of those things where I recognized him, but I didn't quite know where he was from. And so when I sat down against him, I just kind of gave him the whole good luck. And yeah, he was running Dondozo Tatsugiri with Glamora. Now, Glamora is one of my problem matchups, and I was a little worried going into the matchup. I wasn't so worried about Dondozo Tatsugiri because my matchup against that is extremely textbook. I've got Fast Will-O-Wisp on the Dragapult. I've got Clear Smog on the Amoonguss. I've got Dragon Terror on the Corviknight. I was just sitting pretty against that. So game 1, I was able to sort of predict correctly and remove the Glamora very quickly and then just sort of stall out the Dondozo. Now, for a little bit of context, I've been preparing with Dan and Sliff maybe the week or so before regionals, and I was talking over my Glamora matchup, and in all of my practice, I was finding that while Corviknight could wall its 2 coverage moves in Sludge Bomb and Earth Power, I was mainly worried about the Meteor Beam. Now, if I dodged the meteor beam, I'm sitting pretty, but in practice, I hadn't really missed any. And Dan made a comment along the lines of, you're going to miss one on the day you're due one. Round 2, I dodged the meteor beam.
You're welcome.
Dan really was the expert on missing things.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Anyways, poor Jackson. If you're listening, I absolutely love your work, and you did really, really well on the day. And I think that Don Dozer was a very, very good medical, in especially at that point in Reg F, when people aren't really taking it as seriously as they perhaps once were. But no, as we were going through the match, I could tell that he wasn't really taking the matchup very, very well. I kind of kept sneaking peeks over at his notes, and he had lots of things with lots of exclamation marks and ellipses after them. And I could tell that just as every new development came out, it was kind of driving the nail further into the coffin. And by the end of game 2, I was feeling quite bad for him because of the media beam miss and because of the matchup in general. So I apologized for all of that, and he immediately said, "Don't say sorry. Don't feel sorry for me." And he walked off, and I found out later from a mutual friend of his, Melina Rain, who came in top 64 as well. Shout outs to Melina. She'll be important later when Sliff starts to talk about afters. She's fantastic. We love Melina.
I don't think we have enough time.
I hope we do.
We'll do it briefly.
Afterwards, Melina told me that he apparently hopped onto Twitter immediately after the round and complained about me saying sorry. And I don't have it with me right now.
For which, Ethan, you better apologize right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Allegedly.
For being the only person in Perth who remembered that Dondozo Tatsugiri exists. And
I remembered it exists.
Mhm.
I went into it absolutely aware it was existing and really hoping that I wouldn't come up against it because I don't have an answer.
I think that was the play for most people, but no, I just never took off all of my anti-dozo tech, and Clear Smog is useful for other things. So it was a very, very easy set for me, unfortunately. I will not apologize again, Jackson Lee Kong.
In fact, you deserved it. Double down on it.
All right.
Okay. I mean, that basically brings us to talking about the after party. I'd say we've got about 10 minutes left. So
we do got time.
Ethan, you mentioned Melina earlier
Mhm.
and her battles against Sliff, because something some people might be unaware of is what we will typically do after all eating shit at a regional tournament is go get very drunk at a pub, pull out our switches and play cash matches.
Yeah.
Where essentially we put some money on the line and just kind of click buttons until one of us takes the other person's bus ride home. And Sliff, I believe you ended up in a best of 3 against Melina. I say I believe. I'm fully aware because I was there losing money betting on it. I don't know if you want to talk about how the games went.
By the way, yes, I do ride the bus home, and I will do it tonight.
Well, it's a good thing you won money off Melina on a Saturday night so that you can afford to do so.
I was going to say, I'll call your mum the boss.
My mum listens to this show. Hi, Mum. Thanks for listening. Sorry about him.
Joel, we got to edit that out.
This is why I respect you, Jason.
You speak your mind.
I'm sorry, Mum.
Anyways,
I'll buy her a McFlurry.
Melina v Sliff was extremely fun. I had the good sense and foresight not to put money on the match. So instead, Mark put all of his money on Melina winning. So I was
all of my money. Yes.
Yeah.
I do not have more than $20 at any given time.
So I spent the entire set giving Melina bad info. Bad plays.
You didn't need to give her bad info because
No,
the alcohol was doing that for her.
She was very, very drunk.
That is not an excuse. We both played better because we were unsober.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
Look, I would have thought that were true until going into game 3. She had a really strong lead and I was like, okay, yes, my money's in the bag. I'm going to win this bet. And then she just made every bad possible play.
Well,
until she dug herself into a hole she couldn't get out of.
to be fair, she didn't make bad plays. I outplayed her. I just made all the...
No. She made some dog shit plays. I was watching.
That's that 69th diff, right?
Yeah. That's it. I did write down notes, but apparently I wasn't sober when I wrote these because they just say really dumb shit like, afters at Belgian cafe, beer match versus Molina. Refusal to elaborate. But so we went to game 3. What happened? Yeah, so Mark bet $20. Never bet against Sliff.
I can't remember. Never get a bet against Sliff. Based on your regional performance, if you bet against you've got a 50% chance of winning. So I don't know what you're going on about.
Over 50%. I was like top 48%. Okay,
you won 50% of your matches. If I put money against you, I've got a 50% chance of getting it back.
Well, you didn't. But I won.
Fair play.
But I won a beer. But so I remember game 1, Molina wins, and Mark is celebrating like he himself has just won the World Championships and defeated Perthquakes in finals.
Hey, man, $20 is $20.
and Sebi's partner Harry is behind me, giving me like a pep talk and like massaging my shoulder. He's like, "Come on, Sliff, you're my boy. I'll never bet against you. You got this. Reverse sweep. You got this. You're my boy."
He was doing the full like boxing coach.
He was. Yeah.
Water into your mouth.
Place the mouth guard.
Yeah.
Real one.
So we go into game 2, and at the end of game 2, Mark looked a little bit less happy.
Yeah.
Little did he know, I lose like 98% of my game for ease. Fortunately, this was the 2%.
Yeah.
But who was it who advised Molina to click after you Woodhammer at the point where she just couldn't win the game?
That was me.
I almost clicked run in response to that out of respect for the play, but I really wanted the beer.
That's fair. Plus, Harry absolutely would have accused you of taking a dive if you ran and lost him his $20.
Yeah, honestly. He would have whipped me with the fucking towel. He wasn't having it.
Look, I'm not overly sad. I still came out $60 in the black from various cash matches that I played, so I can't complain too loudly. But yeah, no, it's a really good time. If anyone listening is ever in Perth for regionals, come get pissed with us. Doesn't matter how badly you do. Everyone's the same rank when you're 3 points down. So.
You will do better than us, and then you will take our money.
Just on my drunken notes, at the end here it says, Harry rejoices, Mark in shambles.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
This has been the O2 drop.
On that note, I think that is a good place to end it. With me in absolute shambles. Although, actually, I do just have one more note here. And I don't know if anyone wants to elaborate on this. It's just a dot point that says Jamie Boyd memes.
Speaking of being in shambles.
Do you want to run us through this one, Dan?
Oh, yeah. As we all know, Jamie Boyd, EYC, great show for him. That was the worst performance he's ever done.
So what happened? I'm vaguely aware of the story, but kind of fill me in on the specifics.
I think there was a BM line that happened. He was like 03, I believe, at some point, or 04, 02, whatever. But his opponent recognizes him and goes, bad luck or bad play. And he broke down.
No.
He put it on Twitter. He's like, please no one ever say this to me in person again. I believe he dropped soon after that, coming in dead last place, which was 974.
Yeah. It's the lowest
Yeah.
anyone has ever scored at an event.
Yes.
Yeah. Coming dead last at the largest tournament ever.
Imagine if there were like 30 more contestants. That man could have got triple digits.
I know. Quad digits.
Sorry, yes, 4 digits, yeah.
Funnily enough, Jamie Boyd is Phil's favorite player, so fuck Phil and Bree.
Yeah, it was a good show. I mean, there was a lot of people quoting that bad player, bad luck, mainly me when I was 02 at the beginning of the day. So.
I'm going to ask myself that after every game. I feel like that's a really good kind of like post-game breakdown.
It would make a great shirt, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Bad luck or bad play.
I've just been just been shown his team. Apparently, he was running.
Oh no, that's not his. That was something else.
Oh, what the fuck is this?
Why'd you?
Sorry, go ahead.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
I was just waiting for you to finish, and then I wanted to give because Chris Meyer isn't here in his honor, a Chris honorable mention.
Oh, yes, yep.
A couple of episodes ago, you may remember the story about the round of applause 2023 regionals. My round 1 opponent who went 1-6 and lost to James Powell.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Brendan Atkinson, local player, Shout out to Brendan Atkinson for going 0-4 drop and finishing 4th after Perth Regionals this year with a Perish Trap team featuring Politoad.
Ooh. So that's why there was a Gothitelle. I was just looking at it as like...
Yeah, he's the one Gothitelle.
Screentail, Gothitelle, Politoad, Incineroar.
He has like one attack on his whole fucking team. And it's fake out.
Well, you know what they say about Perish Trap, as they say, it's the kind of team that only incredibly skilled players can pilot well. And good on this guy for proving that is absolutely the case.
Rip Brendan Atkinson probably listens to the show.
So, someone's also just quickly mentioned to me that Jamie Boyd actually technically came second last at EUIC purely because there was a DQ.
Was it a Spanish player?
No, someone from the UK. They were probably disqualified for being British, but
you could do so much better.
I do just want to quickly point out, before we wrap up, Ethan, Jamie Boyd was running Sylveon and Dragapult, which was your special at Perth Regionals, was it not?
My sets were superior.
Oh, well, something was
Obviously.
superior. I don't know if it was good luck or good plays, but you did a lot better than me.
Well, I'm not qualified to comment.
All right. Well, I think that is a good place to end it. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us in this episode of the O2 Drop. We appreciate you and we'd love for you to listen again. Follow us on the platform formerly known as Twitter at the 02drop_VGC. Don't forget to drop us a follow and leave us a review on your favorite listening app. And if you're from Perth, give us a shout out in person. If you're not from Perth, come join us next regional afters. We'll get pissed together. Until next time.